Welcome to another ranking music video. I'm pressing on through the years. For those of you that follow my channel and drop in on these videos, you'll know now that I'm into the new millennium. And today I'm going to look at 2002 or 2002. Struggled to keep this to 10, and I listened to a few of the potentials in the teens, seeing if I might switch my order. I didn't, and these are the notables that didn't quite get to number 10. Firstly, Life on Other Planets, the third album by Supergrass, a Brit pop band that I do like considerably, and I've grown to like Gaz Coombs since he's now doing solo records. This one is very bubbly, very poppy, nice guitar work, well crafted songs, and a pleasure to listen to. Also, Dave Matthews. I only listened to this for the second time the other night. Busted stuff, but I always like his music. It's got a sort of a mood to it, a southern states mood, and the playing is immaculate. The problem is familiarity with it. But Bartender really caught my eye, and they got very close. The David Bowie album, Heathen, with guest work from Pete Townsend. There's a lot of good tracks on this one, particularly Slow Burn and Slip Away, and the Neil Young cover, I've Been Waiting for You. And then the last one, the posthumous release by George Harrison called Brainwashed. There's some beautiful songs on this album, but those ones, I'm afraid, didn't make the cut. Let's move on to the ones that did make the cut, and in at 10 is The Naked Ride Home from Jackson Browne. After some bit of average work from him, really, after his mega rise in the 70s, this album came out in 2002, and it was really almost back to his best stuff. Some lovely songs on here. Don't You Want to Be There, and Sergio Leone, probably the strongest on here. 9. Dip into African music, the Senegalese superstar Youssou N'Dour. This is his album, Nothing's in Vain. I really like the gentle sort of type of mood that Yusuf creates. He's got a sort of gruff voice, but the Mebelax sound and the fact that it really has got so much rhythm. 9. So at 8, the album by Elvis Costello called When I Was Cruel takes a bit of getting into this one, but there's some sweet stuff. I particularly like Alibi, which is a long song, about 5.5 minutes long, and then 45. It's very much typical of Elvis, really, with punky sort of stuff alongside silky ballads and interesting sort of rhythmic sort of songs. Along now, we're up to 7. And this is the latest album by Peter Gabriel called Up. When I bought this at the time it came out on cassette, I absolutely played it to death. Don't listen to it too much these days, but it still holds up pretty well. Sky Blue is idyllic. Signals to Noise is all rhythm. And the Barry Williams Show, a satirical look at game shows in the US, are the highlights. Now to 6 then. This is the cover album by Robert Plant called Dreamland, and some exceptional choices on here. The best of them, Will I Train Fare Home, and Song for the Siren is absolutely tremendous. Darkness, Darkness, a real sort of mystic, sort of eerie song from Robert. and he also does a cover of Hendrix's Hey Joe. So we're up to number 5 now, and this is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, The Last DJ. Not a lot of radio play for this. I love the album, but it's one that you can sort of miss. Great tracks though, When a Kid Goes Bad, and Can't Stop the Sun, and Have Love Will Travel. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Well, I still miss this man. And that is my number 5 choice. So to 4, and of course 2002, a year after the attack in New York. So Bruce Springsteen pulls one out of the fire, The Rising, and it's a very strong piece of work. My City in Ruins, I can still hear him singing that one. Into the Fire, Worlds Apart, and Empty Sky, the highlights on a very, very solid album by Bruce. To number 3, and this is the second album by a band that I started listening to at the turn of the millennium, The Doves from Manchester. The first album was a glorious set, and the second, the last broadcast, is very much up there with the first. Similar sort of styles, lots of guitar work, jangly guitars, atmospheric guitars, throw some keyboards in there, a very tight band, some interesting lyrics, very solid stuff indeed. So now we're at the top 2, and you might find my choices are somewhat strange here, but for those who are familiar with me, you'll know that I developed a love for African music in the 90s, and it continued on with some vigour after we went into the new millennium. And at number 2, it's Angelique Kidjo's offering Black Ivory Soul. I remember I got this album after my sister made a visit here. I couldn't get it in Thailand, and she made a visit on a travel holiday after going to India and Hong Kong, and she had in her clutches a CD by Angelique Kidjo, and I'm really pleased she brought it to me because I played it and played it. Of course, a multi-language singer. The best of these are Ne Cedas Jamais, French, of course, and the standout track, which really does flicker away at your heart and is absolutely idyllic, Bahia. So now to number 1, and I listened to this last week just to remind me of my judgment. It's by the Malinese albino Salif Keita, and it's called Mofu. The thing about Salif Keita's music is you've got to really be prepared to be carried along on a crescendo of idylia. His vocal delivery on this mainly acoustic sort of style album is absolutely 5-star, and I draw attention once again to the harmony vocalists, the female singers who integrate perfectly with his sort of harsher vocal tone, and this album is an absolute gem. The tracks that I suggest you run to YouTube and listen to immediately are the opening cut, Yamor, and the closing cut, Here. When I played Here the other night, I immediately needle dropped it, well, via digital again, and I had to have a third listen. It's just so addictive. Okay, so that's my take on 2002 best albums of the year.